So while people drop in, I'll just want to start this 4th webinar in our webinar series on rare chromosome 6 disorders. And as usual, I will start with a very brief introduction. For a more broad introduction, I refer to the first webinar, and all the webinars can still be seen because they are all stored on YouTube, and you can find the links to the webinars, the recordings of the webinars on our website. Today, after my brief introduction, we will have 2 presentations, one of Aafke and one of Eliana, and they will talk about different aspects of our project. But first, the very brief introduction. Next slide, please. As explained in our first webinar, there are several aims with this webinar series. First of all, I want to keep you informed about the project, but also about all the results that come out of that. So we'll deal with different chromosome 6 disorders in each webinar. We want to create awareness for our project, and also we want to ask your support for our project, because as you know, this project is a crowd-funded project. So we need your help to raise enough money to keep this project going. Now, the webinars are recorded. You can find the links to the webinar recordings on our website, and we can see that indeed people watch our webinars. Thus far, we have, as of today, 188 people have been looking at our webinars. Next slide. Just to introduce you again, our Chromosome 6 project team. We are a team mostly of volunteers, but also of some people that are assigned to the project. And today you will hear a presentation of Aafke and of Eliana. You can see their pictures, but you will see their faces shortly. Next slide. As explained before, the aim of the Chromosome 6 project is to have more information available for families on the effects of chromosome 6 aberrations on health and development. And today we'll discuss the effect of deletions of chromosome 6 that involve the TAP2 gene. What we want with this project that there is more information for both families and doctors, and that will help them. That will help them to improve quality of life of these children by improving the surveillance. Next slide. It indeed is a project for parents by parents. We recruit parents via social media. We ask parents to fill out a questionnaire about the health issues of their child. We also ask them to upload an array report so that we know exactly what chromosome 6 aberration is present in the child. And by collecting all this information, we can give back information to parents, and that is done by an automatic analysis system that we have explained to you before. Our final goal, and you will hear more about that today, is to develop an interactive web page. So when a child is born or diagnosed with a chromosome 6 disorder, a parent can go to the website, fill out the aberration that has been found in the child, and then the program will come up with a prediction of what can be expected on health issues in the child. Next slide. So that brings me back to the program of today. And first, Aafke will tell you more about what we found in chromosome 6 deletions that involve the gene TAP2. Aafke, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Connie. Yes, I will be talking about chromosome 6 deletions, including the TAP2 gene. So first of all, let's talk a bit about the genotype, so the chromosome deletion. Where is it on the chromosome? So here you can see a representation of chromosome 6, and then the TAP2 region is here in the yellow box. And the gene TAP2 is within the chromosome band 6q25.1. So this is the chromosome band 6q25.1, and the gene is within there. Below you also see a representation of chromosome 6, and then here you see in the red box the chromosome band 6q25.1, in between the bands 24.3 and 25.2. And then in this figure you again see here the chromosome bands 6q24.3, 6q25.1 and 6q25.2. So the 25.1 is the one of interest. And within this chromosome band, you can here see the gene TAP2. And this is the most interesting gene within this region. And this is also what I'm going to talk about further. So what we did is we studied the phenotypes of these so-called TAP2 deletions, so deletions of the chromosome 6, including this TAP2 gene, and we looked into the phenotypes. These could be the medical issues, developmental problems, and behavioral characteristics. And we did this to get more information on these chromosome deletions to provide you, the parents, with more information on their effect. And also to gain more knowledge to get more suitable care for the affected children. The results of this study, we've summarized them and written a scientific paper about it, and that got published in 2021. So what did we do? We collected information on individuals with a 6q25.1 deletion, including this TAP2 gene. And we collected information on 36 individuals with such a deletion. 11 were from the Chromosome 6 project. And we also collected information on 25 patients which were already described in literature. These are summarized in this figure. So here again, you see the chromosome bands, and you see chromosome band 6q25.1, the region of interest. What you also see here is all the black bars and the gray bars are all deletions of all individuals. In black are the deletions of the individuals from the Chromosome 6 project, and in gray are the individuals or the deletions from the individuals previously described in the literature. And what you can see here as well is a black vertical bar, and this is the place where the TAP2 gene is. So you can see this gene is involved in all these deletions, also in these very small deletions. And what did we learn from this? So what we learned from this is that there are a couple of main characteristics seen in the individuals with such a 6q25.1 deletion, including the TAP2 gene. Most of these individuals have a heart defect. These can be different types of heart defects, including congenital heart defects, such as an atrial septal defect or a ventricular septal defect, so a small hole in the heart. But this could also be a defect of the cardiac valves. Mostly this is the mitral valve which is affected, or a cardiomyopathy. This is a disease of the heart muscle. Also, these individuals often had a short stature and connective tissue abnormalities. They had a low muscle tone. Sometimes they had hearing loss, and about half of the individuals with a deletion in this region had developmental delay. What was also very interesting to see, and you can also see on the right-hand side, is the pictures of individuals with such a TAP2 deletion, and it's that they look very much alike. Only 2 individuals in this figure are family, and the other ones are not family, but they look very much alike. And what you can see is that they have a very broad forehead, and that their eyes are a bit more widely spaced, also called hypertelorism, that they have up or down slanted palpebral fissures. Sometimes they have a ptosis or a drooping eyelid. Their ears are a bit more low set, and some of them have a broad neck or a short neck. And these these facial characteristics are also very much like Noonan syndrome, which is a completely different syndrome, but these facial characteristics do very much look like Noonan syndrome. So therefore, also for some of these individuals, it was suggested that they had Noonan syndrome before they got the diagnosis of the chromosome 6 disorder. What we also learned is that individuals with a deletion, including this TAP2 gene, look very much alike individuals who have a mutation within the TAP2 gene. So they don't have a larger deletion, larger chromosome 6 deletion, but they only have a very small change within the TAP2 gene. And these individuals look alike with the same facial characteristics, but they also have heart defects and a short stature and connective tissue abnormalities. So they have a very comparable phenotype. And that's also why we call these disorders also the TAP2 related syndrome, since the TAP2 gene has a very important effect on the phenotype, much more than other genes which were also involved in deletions of the 6q25.1 region. To summarize on the TAP2 related syndrome, so the genotype of the TAP2 related syndrome can be that there is a chromosome 6 deletion, so a deletion of the 6q25.1 region including this TAP2 gene, or that there is a mutation within the TAP2 gene. And for both, it accounts that the main characteristics are that there are cardiac defects, mostly mitral valve defects, but also cardiomyopathy, which can also occur later in life. Facial features which are very suggestive for Noonan syndrome, a short stature, hypermobility, and developmental delay. And to say about this developmental delay is that for the individuals who have a mutation within the TAP2 gene, so only the TAP2 gene is involved, about 20% of the individuals had developmental delay. And for the individuals with a chromosome 6 deletion, so a larger deletion, about 50% had developmental delay. And this differed in the degree of developmental delay. So what we did see was that individuals who had a larger deletion involving more and more genes had more severe developmental delay than the individuals who only had a smaller deletion. But still, also for the individuals with the deletion of chromosome 6, including this TAP2 gene, also 50% didn't have developmental delay. Then to come to the recommendations we made is that since these individuals, they can have cardiac defects and also cardiac problems which can occur later in life, it's very important to do cardiac evaluation and including regular follow-up. Since these heart diseases can occur later in life. Also, it's important to look into the development of the child, to check on the hearing and vision of the child, since this is also very important for development. I already mentioned that hearing loss was seen, but also vision problems were sometimes seen. Not that often, but it's good to check on that as well, since it's very important for your development. And also to check on connective tissue abnormalities. Then also what's very important, what is always very important, but especially here in the TAP2 deletions, is genetic counseling. Since individuals with a chromosome 6 deletion, including this TAP2 gene, often have a normal development and can be living on their own in the future and might want to have children themselves in the future. When they have a TAP2 deletion, a chromosome 6 deletion, including this TAP2 gene, then there is a risk of 50% that their children will also get this TAP2 deletion. But what we cannot predict is what the result of the TAP2 deletion will be in a child. So it could be that the parent is very mildly affected, but that the child is more severely affected. So therefore, it's good to also have attention for this. Then the take-home messages are that the chromosome 6q25.1 deletions, including this TAP2 gene, and the mutations within the TAP2 gene lead to a very comparable syndrome, also called the TAP2 related syndrome. and that the phenotype of the chromosome 6q25.1 deletion is mainly caused by the haploinsufficiency of this TAP2 gene. What's also very important for these chromosome deletions is that every child is unique. So all the characteristics that I mentioned, these were seen in all these in these children, but it doesn't mean that each characteristic is always seen in every child. And this again also shows the study that, with the information from you, the parents, we can really better understand these kind of chromosome disorders. So this is really helpful for us. Then lastly, I wanted to mention that we also summarized the information on the TAP2-related syndrome in a rare chromosome disorder guide. We did this together with Unique. So you can also find this guide online on their website, and all the information is in there as well. And if you have any questions, then please do not hesitate to ask us. And I'll give back the word to.
Thank you very much, Aafke. If there are any questions, you can type them in the chat and we'll try to answer them. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. Don't see any questions yet. Or are there? No? I'll wait for just a minute for if someone wants to type a question. I don't see any questions going up. If you want to ask questions, you can also do that later on. We will have another break after the presentation of Eliana. And for the parents that will join us in the private session after this webinar, of course, you can ask your questions there as well. So for now, I would like to continue with the presentation of Eliana. Eliana has been working very hard on the automatic analysis of all chromosome 6 deletions within our database, and she already explained about that last time. And now the next step is that we, of course, want to give all this information automatically back to the families. But if to do so, you have to think about, how am I going to do that? And what exactly do parents and also professionals want to know? And that's what Eliana has been studying lately, also with help of parents, and she's going to present the results to us now. Eliana, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Connie, for the introduction, and to everyone who joined this webinar. As we have already mentioned in these and previous presentations, our ultimate goal is to provide you, the parents, with information about any health-related problems that might be associated with your child's specific chromosome 6 aberration, and to do that via an interactive web page. So the idea is that you will go on the web page, enter your child's specific chromosome 6 aberration. So you can say my child misses from A to B, so you need to enter the breakpoints. And the website will then give you a list of health issues or characteristics that are seen in children with a similar chromosome 6 aberration, which are included in our database. Together with our bioinformatics department, we have been working on creating a smart analysis tool, which we call del2phen, deletion to phenotype, that will make it possible to go from the aberration, which currently we're working on deletion, so that will be a deletion. And so it will go from the specific deletion to the phenotype, so to this list of features. Now, how will this work? Where will the information on the website come from? This information will be based on the data we have been collecting through the chromosome 6 questionnaire. We have explained before that we collect detailed information from parents on health and development characteristics via this questionnaire. The medical description on the website, which is the list that I showed you before, will consist of features that are seen in individuals with a similar chromosome 6 aberration. And the word similar is very important because what I mean is that these individuals have a deletion that have approximately the same size, location, and affected genes as a deletion that was entered on the website by the parent. And we say similar because, as you already know, these aberrations are unique. So there will not be any children with exactly the same aberration. So to make it a bit more concrete, what will happen is that if a parent goes on the website and enters the deletion of their child, so let's say that this is the deletion, the orange bar, then this tool will search in our database for children that have a similar aberration, so the blue bars, and based on the characteristics seen in these individuals, it will then create the phenotype information on the website. And this will be done for all regions of chromosome 6 where enough information is available. And I do mention deletions, and I will be mentioning deletions in the presentation because this tool is now developed for chromosome 6 deletions. Because we have enough data on these aberrations, we will adjust it for duplications in the future once we have collected more information. So the chromosome 6 questionnaire we have also mentioned in other presentations where we collect the medical information from is very detailed. This means that for most individuals in our database, we have information on around 700 medical problems, developmental and behavioral issues. Now, not all 700 problems will be present, of course, but we know if each of these features is present or not in each child that has filled in, for whom this questionnaire has been filled in, which is great because it means that we now have the data to provide information to parents. But it also means that if we report every single feature that is seen in individuals with a similar chromosome 6 aberration, there will be a very long list of features on the website. I will give you some examples for this. In the figure on the right, you can see chromosome 6 on the top, and the end region, the terminal 6q region, is zoomed in here below. And every black bar represents a deletion of one child. While the vertical blue lines represent genes that are important genes that are in this region. Now imagine you enter the breakpoints of your child's deletion on the website, and the website finds this group of 15 individuals that have a deletion similar to the one you entered. Now I say 15 is the minimum group size, which means that there will not be any descriptions for smaller groups on the website. And we have looked into this, and for groups of 15 individuals, the medical description of the website will consist of around 90 features on average. And this is an average, which means there will be descriptions that will be shorter or even longer than this, based on the characteristics of 15 children. If we now extend this group to 40, which are currently our biggest groups, there will be more than 200 features in this description, which is quite a lot. So then the question arises, should we go ahead and report all these characteristics, or should we limit the information we present? And if we were to limit the information, where do we draw the line? Does it matter what kind of feature it is? Are certain features or issues more important than others? Or is it more important to know in how many children that issue is seen? Of course, at the same time, we also need to make sure that important information is not missed. Now, of course, these questions need to be answered before we go ahead and start working on the website. And we thought, who better to help us answer them than parents? So what did we do? Last year, we posted a research call on the website for parents who are interested in joining an expert panel to help us decide on the kind and on the amount of information we are going to present on our website. We were very happy to see that a lot of parents reached out and were willing to be part of this. So together with 32 chromosome 6 parents and 21 professionals in the field of rare chromosome disorders, we have been looking into how and when we should present clinical characteristics on the website in a way that is informative and helpful. It's important to mention that these 32 parents are also participants in the Chromosome 6 project and have filled in the Chromosome 6 questionnaire. We found it important that the expert panel members were familiar with the amount and the type of information we collect, because that will also be the information that will eventually be presented on the website. So how are the expert panel members helping us? Well, primarily by filling out a number of surveys. At first, in May last year, we sent out a general survey, and this survey consisted of questions on what parents and professionals find important when accessing medical information online. For example, we had questions like, is the impact that a feature has on the child's health more important than how often a feature is seen in children with a similar aberration? And this sort of questions. Now, this was a very detailed survey, and we learned a lot from the responses of the expert panel members. And what we did after that is we took these responses and we turned them into statements. For example, we created statements like, issues that have an impact on health should always be reported on the website. In total, we had 13 statements, and for each of these statements, we asked experts to indicate whether they agreed, disagreed, or were unsure about the statements we gave them. And the first round, which consisted of the total number of statements, were 13. In the first round, agreement was reached among the panel on 7 statements, so there were 6 statements left for the second round. And after that, there were 2 statements left, and eventually we had reached at the end agreement on 12 out of the 13 statements. And I will go more into detail on a few of the statements later on. What is also important to point out is that when I say agreement, I mean that 75% of experts, and then both parents and professionals grouped together, gave the same answer on the regarding the statement. So either 75% agreed with a certain statement, or 75% of them disagreed. Both of the scenarios were considered agreement or consensus. So what were the most important findings from this study? Now, there were 4 main messages that came out of the surveys, which we used to create from the first survey. And we used this to create the statements that were later on presented to the experts. Now, the first one is that parents would like to access as much information as possible. It was very frequently mentioned in the first survey that, and I don't think this will come as a surprise to any of you, that when you have very little information to work with in the beginning, every little piece of extra information will help. It was also mentioned that seemingly non-relevant features might be important to parents still, for example, in order to explain part of their child's behavior or for feeling less alone. What we also learned is that both parents and professionals agreed that clinically relevant features, so features that have an impact or an effect on the child's health or require treatment, are more important to report, or at least it's important to report these features first so that they are not missed. However, what was also mentioned, especially by parents and sometimes by professionals, is that the impact that a health problem has on the family or the child's well-being, except for health, is equally important. Think, for example, sleeping problems that are not always considered medically relevant, but they do have they can cause a burden on the family or the child's quality of life. So that was a new aspect we identified. Lastly, it was frequently mentioned that it is important to know the prevalence of each feature, so how often a feature was seen among the group of children with similar aberration, so that parents can know the likelihood or the chance of their child developing that issue, so they can put it into perspective. Now, these main findings were used, as I said, to create the statements later on in the following survey, in which agreement was reached among the experts. So I will start now with the statements. And the first one stated that health issues or characteristics that are clinically relevant or have an impact on the family or the child's well-being will always be reported on the website, even if they are seen in only one individual with a similar aberration, irrespective of group size. Now, a disclaimer will, of course, also be given that every child is unique and that if a feature is seen in one individual, it might not be related to the chromosome 6 disorder. The prevalence of the feature within the group will, of course, always be reported so that parents know if that issue was only seen in one individual or in more children. Now, experts in both groups of both parents and professionals found these issues highly important, and they eventually agreed that they should always be reported if the prevalence is also given, which it will be. The second statement was that characteristics that are not clinically relevant and they do not have a significant impact on the family or the child's well-being will be reported if they are seen in at least 10% of the children in larger groups, so in groups of at least 20, or if they are seen in at least 2 individuals in smaller groups, groups of less than 20 individuals. So, for example, if there's a group of 40 children with a similar aberration, non-clinically relevant features would be reported if they are seen in at least 4 of them. If a feature is only seen in 1, 2, or 3 out of the 40, it will not be in the clinical overview. This will help us somehow limit the amount of information we present, but without missing the important features like the ones that are in group 1. Then we also have a third group of features, and these are feature subtypes. Think, for example, a heart defect that is a main feature, and a VSD, so a heart wall defect specifically, that's a feature subtype. Or vision problems are a main feature, and short-sightedness is a feature subtype. So the question is, do we always report the feature subtypes? Because they can be quite a lot. So what we proposed is that, and what experts agreed on, is that the feature subtypes should be reported only for main features that are present in at least 20% of the group, and if that specific subtype is seen in at least 2 children. And I know this can sound a bit theoretical, so I will give an example to better explain it. Okay, so let's say that a parent enters the deletion breakpoint on the website, and the tool identifies 20 children with a similar aberration to what the parent entered. You would then get 2 different lists like this, one with the clinically relevant and impactful issues, and one with the non-clinically relevant and non-impactful issues. What I also need to mention is that it was also agreed among experts to keep these as 2 separate lists, since there is a difference in how important these features are. And they also agreed on keeping the clinically relevant ones first so that they are not missed. What you also see here in both lists is that the features are given in order of prevalence, and this will be done on the website as well. And I also need to mention that this is a very short list because it's an example, so I couldn't fit more features, but normally you would get a much, much longer list. So what you can see is that the clinically relevant and impactful issues are always reported, even when they're only seen in one individual. But the non-clinically relevant, non-impactful issues are only reported if they're seen in more than 10%, and 10% of 20 is 2. So anything that is seen in less than 2, so in the case just 1, would not be reported in this list. The sub-features is also, here I can explain what I meant. The sub-features, we said that they would be reported if the main feature was seen in more than 20% of the group, and 20% of 20 is 4. So for main features that are seen in more than in at least 4 out of the 20, we have reported the sub-features. But for issues that are seen in less than 4 out of the 20, we have not reported the specific subtypes. And this is also a way to limit the amount of information. An expert found that, okay, since they argued that the main feature will be the one to prompt testing anyway. Another reporting aspect that experts agreed on is that parents will have the opportunity to choose the groups of features they want to view. So only view clinically relevant features, or only view non-clinically relevant features, or view both. And this would then help curate the amount of information you view at once. So we will provide the information, it will be on the website, but then you can decide for yourself if you want to limit what you read at that moment, and then you can always come back and view the rest later on. What was also agreed on is that parents should get the option to choose the life stage for which they want to view the information. For example, you can view information, only features that are present since birth, features that develop after birth, think, for example, issues like epilepsy or recurrent infections, issues that are related to puberty, such as delayed puberty, or features that are only developed in adulthood. And you will have the opportunity to choose one, many, or all of these options. It's up to you. And both parents and professionals agreed that, again, this is a way for parents to decide what they want to view at that moment without missing information they would have liked to access. And at last, we also had 3 statements on the reporting format of certain features. So how we should present, for example, the severity of developmental delay, or the age at which children reach their developmental milestones. And I will now quickly show you what the options are, actually what was agreed on. So for the degree of developmental delay, it was generally, a graph was preferred among experts because specifically that shows the fraction of children that were in each developmental category, from typical development to severe delay, but also including children that for whom we know they had developmental delay, but the severity was unknown, and these were mostly individuals described in literature, but also children that were too young for development to be assessed. And most panel members found this overview quite informative and easy to read. While for the age at which milestones were reached, a table was preferred, and this table provides the median age at which the different milestones were reached. Of course, an explanation of the table will also be provided with information like what is median, what age range it indicates, and we have also included a range, like a reference range for children without a chromosome operation, so that you can compare. And this was done after the suggestion of a parent. Now, this is the way the information on development will be provided on the website. Now that we have this information and that the tool is ready, we are currently writing scientific papers to publish these results so that other researchers can also use our work. And at the same time, we are thinking about the different components that the website will have and how it will look like. We are, for example, planning to include some background information on chromosome aberrations and also supportive information on where the information in the clinical overview will come from, similar to what I am explaining right now. And of course, we also need to add all the necessary disclaimers. And we also need to keep in mind that our website will be mostly informative in nature. We will not be providing medical advice, but we will provide a feature for parents to download a PDF of the clinical overview, to take it with them to the doctor's appointment and discuss any necessary testing that needs to be done. The next step will be to start building the website, of course, but for that we do need funding. We have estimated a sum of 55,000 euros to get the website up and running, but Professor Connie will say something more about the funding and how you can support us. And apart from funding, you can also support us by participating in the Chromosome 6 project and filling in the questionnaire, because the more data we collect, the more reliable information on the website will be. You can sign up for the project via our website, and you can also find instructional videos on how to take part in the project on our website and also in the third Chromosome 6 webinar. And if you have any questions, you can always email us at chromosome6@umcg.nl. And I think that is from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eliana. I'll open the chat again, so seeing whether there are any questions for Eliana. Thus far, there are no questions. Good job done, Eliana. I think that Eliana nicely demonstrated what the final aim of our project is, and to give you more information on rare chromosome 6 disorders and how we can do that based on all the information that we collected from you in a very qualitatively good way, so that we use the data that we have in a clever way, so that we get the most meaningful information out of our database for you. But also that we listen very carefully to what parents really want. What kind of information do you want? Do we need to report everything or just a subset of information, and how to present it in such a way that it will not overwhelm you? Because that's our most important concern, that if we give too much information, that it will be overwhelming. And you have to keep in mind that not only parents will go to the website that are already known with the aberration of a child, they are already sort of find their way to deal with that, but also young parents will come there have heard the diagnosis, and then they go to the website and find a long list of all things that can be wrong. And well, we all know that the variability is huge, so not every feature that is present and has ever been reported in a deletion will also be present in your child. But for parents, it can be overwhelming if you see a long list of features, and that's why we try to do this as accurately, but also as carefully as possible. And of course, when we have developed our website, we'll also again need you to test the website and to see whether indeed the website is doing what you want it to do, and whether you're well confident in using it. Okay, before we finish this webinar and go to the private session where question and answers can be posed by you, I want to do that to wrap up, and I want again want to thank you parents for being so dedicated to our project. I also want to thank my team members because they're really very much dedicated. We are proud that we are able to collect data from families worldwide, that we have the largest chromosome 6 database ever. They have some nice publications. If you can't find them, just drop us an email and we'll show you where you can find them. And the summaries are on our website, chromosome6.org. And as explained now by Eliana, soon we will be able to realize our dream and have this specific information for you available in our interactive website. I see a question in the chat, so I'll first before I continue with my next slide, I will go to that question. It says, "Will the Gen2Fen?" and I want to correct that it's not Gen2Fen. Gen2Fen is already existing program based on gene aberrations, and this is the del2Fen because it's based on deletions. But the question is, will the program take into account other chromosome aberrations when presenting phenotypes with similar deletions or exclude them? For example, comparing an individual with a chromosome 6 aberration only with one that has both a chromosome 6 and 8. In our database, we note if a individual has more than only a chromosome 6 deletion. So if there is another aberration on the chromosomes that will influence the phenotype, this person will be excluded from the automatic analysis. There are not enough patients with exactly the same double chromosome abnormality. So you say here, for instance, 6 and 8. If there would be enough patients in the database exactly the same chromosome 6 deletion and chromosome 8 duplication, for instance, then we could give out the information, but we're not there yet. So if the database grows, this may become possible, especially if some translocations, because they're mostly the result of translocations when you have a combined chromosome abnormality. Some of these are more common than others, and then it is possible that you have more individuals the same combined chromosome aberration, but we're not there yet. So at this time, if we know that a patient has a double diagnosis and the second diagnosis influences too much the phenotype of the chromosome 6 aberration, then we will exclude that patient in the database, will flag the patient, and will not be used in the automatic system. But if anyone comes to us, sends us an email saying, "Oh, my child has this aberration in combination with that, do you have more individuals with that?" Then we can go into our database and say, yes, we know more, and we can give some information out of that individual. So it will not be possible automatically at the moment, but you can always email us and ask for it. So I hope that with that, I answered the question sufficiently. Yes. Okay. So now, as already explained by Aafke, by Eliana, and I will tell you again, the more patients there are in the database, the better it will become, and the better the information we will have available for you. So if you're not participating yet, please go to the website or send us an email and sign up for the project. And we know that the questionnaire is very, very long. You don't have to fill it in one go. You can fill it in part, but what's very important is at the end, when you're done, you have to submit it. If you don't submit it, we don't have your final agreement to use the data. So the submit button is very important for us. If you don't submit, we will send you emails and press you to do so. What we also want you to do is to advocate this project, because we are dependent on how well known the project is and how well it will be supported by other organizations. If you want to become a member of the foundation, it's also possible. You can email the foundation. You can also become an advocate for the project in your own country, and then the foundation will give you information how to do that. They will help you with, for instance, organizing events or written information and leaflets that you can give to others. If you need, well, of course, and we need your support also in money. And I hate to say that over and over again, but since it's very difficult to get money from funding money for this, because they don't see this as really research. Collecting information to give more information to parents is not seen as research, and that's why research funds are very reluctant to give us money. So that's why we are doing crowdfunding. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, next slide. Yes, thank you. This is a slide that summarizes the International Chromosome 6 Foundation. Members of the board members of the foundation are present at this webinar. As I said, if you want to become an ambassador for your country, please contact them, and they're ready to help you out. They're very active. They're organizing lots of things, and they can advise you on what you can do in your own country. Next slide. Now, this is the thermometer that Eliane already showed you. We estimated that we need about 55,000 euros to have a fully automated website. It's a very complicated thing to build. It will cost lots of time also to have all the disclaimers on there, and to have the possibilities that you can choose what kind of information the program provides to you. So that's why it's quite a lot of money that we need, because if you want a good website, you need professional programmers, and that is of course costly. Since our first webinar, we have raised about 10% of this, 5,500 euros. If you want to share this project and want to donate, you just make a copy or just scan that QR code, and it will bring you to all the information that you need to make donations or to share this with your friends and family. Next slide. Okay. We are convinced that we are already busy for quite a number of years, and we have come such a long way. We have nice publications. We have reached already a lot, and we only could do that with the help of you, with the parents. So we're very grateful for you for that. And of course, we're also very happy with the new Chromosome 6 Foundation that can support us. Next slide, please. So now we will close this session, and we will go to the other link that has been emailed to parents. So it's a private link where parents can chat with us. If you are a parent and haven't received the link, you can email us, and we will make sure that by the next webinar, your name will be known. You have to be a member of the Chromosome 6 Facebook group. If you don't know that group, drop us a line, and we will tell you where you can find it. I will leave the next slide on the screen for a minute, so that you can take a picture of it, so you have all the information at hand. And for those of you who are not going to the question and answer session, I will say goodbye to you. And for the others, I will see you in a minute in the other chat room. Bye-bye.